Welcome to Spill the Trauma, Keep the Drama. I'm your host, Kayla. As always, I want to preface the episode by saying I am not a licensed professional. If you are seeking mental health help, you should definitely seek out a licensed professional. If you are having trouble looking for resources, you can hit me up. I'll be glad to help you find someone. You can reach out to me in my DMs. My handle pretty much everywhere is Spill the Trauma, Keep the Drama. Before we spill this week's trauma, this is part 1 of a 3-part series on surviving narcissistic abuse. Why 3 parts? Because narcissists don't just hurt you. They build entire systems of control. And unpacking that takes time. I won't just trauma dump. We'll move from their lies, this episode, to their crises, to how we break free. I also want to just give a warning that this series discusses emotional abuse, gaslighting, and suicidal threats. If you need to pause or even skip the series, that's totally okay. Your well-being and comfort always comes first. Now, let's spill some trauma. Narcissism is not just about vanity. It's a spectrum, from confident to pathological. My birth giver, a malignant narcissist, which means she didn't just lie. She weaponized reality itself. Narcissists don't just lie. They reconstruct reality. They'll look at you dead in the eye and swear black is white. Repeat a story enough times with enough conviction, and even the most outrageous lies start to feel true. That's how they work. They don't just tell you something happened, they make you experience it differently. Your memories, your instincts, even your own senses become untrustworthy. And my birth giver, she's been perfecting this since she could talk. At 3 years old, when her and her brother were in the living room and they're running around this glass table. And so on the table, you could pick up the top of it, and it's just a piece of glass, right? So they're running around the table and she picks up this glass tabletop and smashes it into a million pieces, then runs into the next room to her dad and starts screaming, crying that she's scared because her brother just broke the glass table. So then my grandpa comes into the room furious, and her brother was like, I didn't pick it up, I didn't do it, she did it. And my grandpa gets even more mad at him, and he's like, how can a 3-year-old do something like that? And now you're gonna get a beating for not only breaking the table, but lying about it too. So as my uncle's getting beat because of what she did, all he sees is her fucking laughing about it. And the craziest part of that story is she's the one that bragged about it to me multiple times, and she would laugh about it when she would brag about it. That wasn't a tantrum. That was her first successful rewrite of reality. Fast forward to right after her and my dad split. So she gets an order of protection against my dad, and she claims to the court that he's violent and he's out to get her, and so they give her an order of protection. Now, an order of protection or a restraining order, those are really important for people who are in relationships that have to do with domestic violence. If your partner or ex-partner is stalking you, there's good reason to have orders of protection. But as my dad's lawyer put it so well, she didn't use it as a means for safety. She used it as a fucking baseball bat. So not only did she lie to Nassau County Family Court, but then while she was lying to them and creating this narrative with the courts saying that he's this violent, crazy man, she would, every chance she got, tell my brothers and I that our dad is out to get us and he's trying to kill us and he wants us on the streets and all this crap. And she would just repeat it and reiterate it as much as she possibly could. And honestly, it gave me really, really bad anxiety, and I was constantly stressed, constantly scared, constantly on edge. And I remember specifically one night having really bad night terror, and it was my first experience with sleep paralysis. So just to be clear, this was a dream, or not a dream, it was a nightmare. But in the nightmare, because my bedroom at the time was upstairs, and in the dream her and my brothers are downstairs, and all I can hear is people rushing into the house and getting calling them, and like I can hear them like screaming for help and screaming that they need like someone to go save them. And I remember like wanting to get up and wanting to go like run downstairs and see if they're okay, and not being able to move at all. When I finally like woke up, snapped out of it, I remember being like drenched in sweat and just like crying hysterically and just being so petrified of what the fuck gonna come. And so a couple days later, when I see a car going up and down the street, and I see it go up and down the street a couple times, I start freaking out. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's definitely your dad. Mind you, it wasn't my dad. My dad was 2 towns over with his cousins who he was staying with, but she instilled this fear and convinced me that it was him. So she calls the cops and she's like, see, even my daughter saw him. And so that night, the cops say, because I saw the car, because like we're so scared, they go and arrest my dad because he was like violating the order of protection by being by our house. And when they go to arrest him, he's like, I was here the entire night. And so he gets arrested. So the cops like let my dad know that I saw him and like I was the reason why he's getting arrested. And suddenly I'm manipulative and a liar just like her. And the worst part is he believed it for years. He thought she'd bought me off with a cell phone, not that I was just a kid who trusted her mom. This was like one of a few, but like a really big contributor to us not speaking for 7 years. And before they split up, before all of their drama, my dad and I were super, super close. And like I was basically a daddy's girl. So like to go from that to not talking for 7 years because we were both like manipulated by my birth giver is still like insane to me. That's the narcissist masterpiece. They don't just hurt you. They make you complicit. Twist your love until you're hurting others too. Until you're complicit in your own undoing. What's crazy is that they are so good at making up these stories and living in these delusions as they like begin to believe it themselves. One example of this is honestly so disgusting. It makes my stomach turn just thinking about it. So I've mentioned in previous episodes, she has a sugar daddy. And this man, just like looking at him makes you want to bleach your eyeballs. And that's genuinely how I've always felt since I met him. He's gross. He's a creep. I think the first time I met him was on FaceTime when I lived in Florida, and I just got bad vibes right off the bat. So when I came back to New York, we were having this card night. Like we were all playing cards. She's drinking wine. We're playing, and he offers me a plate of, and I didn't even really want the fruit, but he put it in front of me. So she goes from 0 to 100 so quickly and throws the bottle of wine that we're drinking at my head, then smashed her wine glass on my face, and she just like went nuts. And I was like, what the fuck, where'd that come from? Why'd she do that? Because he gave me a plate of fruit. So her crypt keeper escorts her out of the house, and I was like, what the fuck? And at that point, it was like past midnight. So I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with her, but I'm going to bed. The next day, she calls me crying because she can't remember what happened the night before, and her crypt keeper wouldn't really tell her what happened. So I go over and just like let her know that he gave me fruit, and then she bugged out. And as soon as I said that, she went from being apologetic to getting mad at me for trying to steal her man. I'm actually gonna vomit at those words, at the thought. And when she said that to me at the time, I was so fucking pissed, guys. You know, I was livid. Because first of all, not only is this man disgusting, but also how are you gonna sit here and tell me your daughter that like I'm trying to steal your man? Like, ew, oh my god, disgusting. Also, I'm not that type of girl, so like that was such an insult on so many levels, and I was I was so pissed. So following that, I'm giving her the silent treatment and I like don't want to talk to her. I'm fucking pissed. Like, how can she even insinuate that? She calls in reinforcements. She called her best friend at the time to like try to talk some sense into me. And so her best friend calls me and I start to have this conversation with her, and her best friend's like, you know, she's just trying to like be protective of you. Like, sometimes guys are creeps. Like, she just like doesn't want you to like hook up with him. And I was like, first of all, that's disgusting, like actually disgusting. Second of all, that thought has never even crossed my mind, let alone like I genuinely like, what's the word? I'm repulsed by this man. So, ew. And then I was like, if she's that worried that he's a creep, like why is she even with him? And like, why is she bringing him around us? If she's that concerned that he's gonna like come after me like that, like shouldn't she not be with a creep like that? And her best friend's still defending her, but like a true narcissist, didn't tell her best friend the full story. So when I told her best friend this full story of her just throwing the glass at me and throwing the bottle at me because he gave me a piece of fruit, her best friend was like, wait, that's not what she told me. And I was like, how convenient is that? And then her best friend was like on my side after I like told her what happened, and my birth giver didn't like that. Her best friend like went at her and she was like, how can you do that to your daughter? And she came back at me and was telling me I'm the reason why she has nothing good in her life. I'm the reason why she doesn't have friends, because she lied to her best friend about what actually happened. But yeah, that just goes to show how deep the delusion goes for them. Like, they truly believe everything that they're saying, and like she truly believes that I'm after her crusty dusty ass man. Like, I'm actually gonna vomit. Let's be so fucking for real right now. This wasn't about him. A man whose skin looks like a crumpled paper bag was never the prize. This was about her needing me to play my role, the villain and her delusion. Funny thing about narcissists, their lies eventually outgrow them. Because when fruit plates become affairs and parenting becomes parentification, even the best acted delusions crack. Next time, she trades the wine glass for something sharp, weaponizing suicide threats, sabotaging my education, and proving just how far she'll go to keep me trapped in her fiction.